Here we go. This is me exploring the idea of an unlicensed counselor. The idea, the name, what does that mean? I'm using my tools, which is talk therapy, talking out loud and not worrying about what my inner thoughts, my inner mind would say. So, unlicensed counselor, first thing that comes to mind is it legal? Is it legal at all to say I'm an unlicensed counselor? I would say I'm a life coach, but everybody's a damn life coach. You gotta get certifications, and counseling itself, you gotta get actually a license to do. But do you have to, right? Like, in today's day and age, do you have to get a piece of paper to tell you that you now have a license to do whatever it is that you want to do? Because I think it is my life's purpose. It is literally my life's purpose. God has given me the talent of counseling, right? He has given me the talent to counsel. And who gives anybody the right besides God to tell me what and when I can do whatever I want to do? And counseling is that talent. I have many other talents to go along with it, but what tugs at my heartstrings the most is my talent of counseling. And then on top of that, I am an unlicensed counselor, right? So what does that mean and how does that work? I tell the truth. I listen very well. I listen very, very well. And I don't know, I listen to a circumstance, I process it through an unbiased mindset, a different perspective, and I question motives. I ask really deep, uncomfortable questions in a very comforting way and a non-judgmental way. And what else can a person learn from any situation of life or from life? I think that sometimes we think of a counselor as a bad thing, counseling as a bad thing, like a marriage counselor as a bad thing, right? Like how we have to go to counseling. Man, everybody needs counseling. You just don't know it's called counseling, right? So coaching has been the latest term for that. Like if you're a wellness coach or a life coach, well, now that's starting to get, all sorts of bastardized or whatever the word of that is. Like it gets twisted in a way that, how do you know if a person's good or if they actually care, or if there's no ulterior motives or anything like that? I would say for myself, it's just coming down to what tugs at my heart the most. Like, there's nothing more gratifying to me than talking to a person and opening their eyes to the bigger picture. So if somebody has a problem with a spouse, like, I'm not a marriage counselor. I'll just disclaim that. I'm not any kind of a counselor, licensed anyway. But you have to see it from their eyes. Like, you have to be empathetic in order to move forward. Like, you can't just say, well, I've done all the work and they're not doing any of the work. Well, what does that mean? Like, you've done a lot of work, sure, but maybe the little work that you think they're doing feels like a boatload of work, right? In marriage, anyway. Partnership, right? Same thing. Doesn't matter if you're a partner, a business partner, a brand partner, whatever it is. If you're doing a boatload of work and you feel like you're doing a boatload of work, then you probably are doing a boatload of work. And compared to people who feel like they do more work and they look at you and say, well, they're not doing any work. Well, what does that feel like? That feels like shit. So that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about is different perspectives, whether that's any kind of counseling at all. It all boils down to patterns. It all boils down to truth. Like, I love to tell truth. Like, that's the only thing that I know how to do. And having ADHD, I don't get to not tell the truth. Like, I don't get to lie, and I don't get to, have this filter that other people do have, that they have like a passive aggressive filter. Like, if somebody would ask, well, what do you think of that? And I'd be like, well, that sounds like shit to me, right? Like, that does not feel good. And those are my immediate thoughts. Like, my inner voice is pretty much my outer voice. Like, the voice that you're hearing right now is me. Like, I don't have like an inner voice separate to my outer voice. And I think the ADHD, or my ADHD, definitely, it just stops. It stops that filter, which is good. Like, then I'm just me all the time. Then I can't lie, which is great. Like, I'm not going to tell you. It does not feel good to me to not tell the truth. And I don't tell people what they want to hear. That does not feel good to me, because it's not helping them. Like, I'm not going to make you feel like crap either, but I'm going to be like, hey, if you're not following the tools that I give you, or like if you're not using the tools that I give you, then I'm 100% okay with you not following me, not working with me anymore. Like, I don't try to convince people to work harder than I'm working on themselves, right? Like, I can give you what I think you would need, but you got to kind of have somewhat of an understanding and want to help, right? Like, you kind of got to want to help yourself. And an unlicensed counselor, is that even legal? Like, I come back to the legality of that. Like, can I market that? Can I market as an unlicensed counselor legally? I have no idea. Will I be Googling the hell out of that? Probably, right? Like, I will Google that. I've Googled it already, and it, I got a few different things where people are pretty pissed off about, well, you got to have license. There's people out there calling themselves life coaches, and you got to have, is there any, as far as like laws against that, or whatever it be. Like, I've been on that road for a long time with exercise physiology, because there is no regulation in that field. Anybody can call themselves an exercise physiologist, right? As long as you have a following of people that say, yeah, he's an exercise physiologist, he's a personal trainer, he's a fitness guru, he's a whatever the hell you want to be in fitness. There is no regulation with that. So the term, if you can't beat them, join them, comes to mind, because I'm not going to change society, right? Like, I'm not going to change the world. Not doing that. Like, that's not in my heart to do that. Like, that brings up a lot of resistance to me, and I don't want that, because people won't listen to that. At least not right now. So what will people actually listen to? I don't know. But will they listen to an unlicensed counselor? Oh man, he doesn't have a license. Does he know what he's doing? I don't know. Ask the people around me, right? An unlicensed counselor. You could say exercise physiologist and unlicensed counselor. How does that look? How does that feel? Like, could say like off the cuff, bold, like my approach is off the cuff, bold, in the moment, truthful, honest, caring, empathetic. Like, those are words that come to mind, because I've been where a lot of my clients have been. I've been down, I've been out, I've been fat, I've been, it just sucks, right? Like, life sucks, but you gotta get through it, and you will get through it. But how else are you going to get through it if you don't feel like you are loved, right? That's what I think I can really separate myself, is feeling like I love people back to life. Like, a lot of people, for some reason, feel like I have, like they have to tell me their life story. Like, I keep saying, like, I have this stamp stamped on my forehead that says, please tell me your life story. I must have, because people do it all the time, which I'm good with it. Like, I'm actually really good with people, telling me their life story, because it's fun and exciting, and and I don't ever know why they do it, but it's kind of nuts. Like, you just ask the right questions and people go, whoa, this guy actually cares. I can just tell that he cares. How do they tell? And that's how you really use that to your full advantage, to not only better yourself, but better others first, right? Like, being a counselor, you kind of have to separate yourself from the situation, but also be completely involved in the situation. It's a backwards way of thinking, but then you got to think, being an unlicensed counselor, now you're getting into some uncharted territory, because everybody wants you to have a license to practice whatever you're doing. Well, what if you're just unlicensed, right? Like, what are you considered then? Against the law? Like, oh, you can't practice? Somebody tells you can't practice. If you do that, are you breaking the law? What does that look like? What does that look like? Because then if you're breaking the law, but you're making an income, what is that, right? Like, is there a market for an unlicensed counselor? Like, can you actually use life as your certification? That's a good one. That is a really good one. That one kind of gets me all sorts of fired up. Can you use life as your certification? Because really, like, you always see, like, a doctor, or you could say any kind of certification. You see their name, you see a person's name, and then dash, then like a bunch of letters. Can you see my name dash LIFE, right? Like, that's my certification. Like, screw everybody else. Like, I know what I know, and I continue to learn because I have the education of LIFE. That's my certification, right? That's my education. And if you don't learn from that, where the hell else are you going to learn it? Like, you are the answer. You are the answer to your own problem. Is that even possible to fathom, right? Like, can you even put that to words? I don't know. I have no idea. But I think it's amazing that we are so plugged into society and so plugged into what everybody else wants, and you compare yourself to what that means and what that is. And I think it's just crap, because what do you really want? Like, when you were between the ages of 2 and 10, what did you want to do with your life? What was your, like, deep calling? And then from 10 to 20, what was that? Was it similar? Was it different? Let's explore that. That's exciting to me. And I think for me, it was just a transformation of energy. Like, I was consuming a lot of energy. I was not expending a lot of energy. Meaning, I ate like crap and I was, kind of a fat kid. So then, what changed? Well, I transferred my energy from video games and, candy to being, working at a camper dealership, learning work ethic, and then, eating the correct amount of portions, because then you don't want to feel bloated when you eat, right after you eat, and then you got to go to work. Like, that would suck. I did that, right? Like, it wasn't fun at first, but it didn't matter, because you just learn, and then you get yelled at because you're not working and not used to working, and it just wasn't a fun experience. But I think that's what defines me today, whereas, like, I always have to be working, and if I'm not working, I'm not generating an income. And that was essentially all that I knew how to do was just worry about generating an income. So now I don't worry about that anymore. And everything is just so much more free because, having my faith in God and having faith in myself has taken over. Like, just knowing that everything will be okay no matter what is a free feeling. Why can't we ever just stick to that and just have that? It's called faith, right? Have that. So an unlicensed counselor, is that even possible? Is that what I am? Like, I would say yes to that. I am an unlicensed counselor. But the only thing that I don't know about what that is the legal issues wrapped around it. I don't know. Anybody can say they're an exercise physiologist. Anybody can even say they're a doctor. Right? Anybody can. That's what it comes down to. You can say whatever you want about yourself because the only thing that matters is your belief in yourself. Like, you can be anything. And we get taught that at an early age, but then we also get taught that you have to go to school and get a job and take care of your family. Like, your responsibilities change. And then your dream switch gets turned off. What does that look like? How come that happens? Right? I mean, that's it. Like, I really don't get why we are fed such bullshit between the ages of, 4 and 24 to follow your dreams, and then between the ages of 24 and 94, you have to shut those dreams off because now you got to go to school and get a job so you can have an income. What the hell? And I think, 98% of society, the United States anyway, it's just the way it is. Like, nobody, it's not everybody. Like, 1 out of 100, 2 out of 100 are the people listening to this right now. And that's alright, right? Like, I'm good with it. But knowing that I need to reach 1,000 people so that I can talk with 100 of them so that they're ready, and understanding that process is the difference between a successful person and a person who just wants something. Is understanding the process. And then at the same time not understanding the process and being okay with that. And if that makes sense, you are definitely one of those 100 people, of those 1,000 people that have gotten to right here. Insane, right? Like, there's just so much happening. So much happening. And that's okay. That's okay. You're probably mixed emotions about, what does he mean? What is it? What is that? What does all of this mean? You know what? I don't know. And I love that I don't know. Because then that means it's going to be revealed to me. If you have everything quote unquote figured out, you have jack shit figured out. You have nothing figured out. And for those who are going to debate me on that, I won't debate. Like, I'm not going to argue. Because that's not even... It's a waste of time and waste of energy. But for anybody who would debate the fact that if you have everything figured out, then that means you have everything figured out. And then everything figured out, that you don't have jack shit. Be like, well, I got it all figured out. Good, I'm glad for you. Keep going with whatever you're doing then. But when that stops working, because it will, come back to me. I got you. If you don't want to have my straightforward, honest, empathetic, not pathetic, right? Empathy. If you don't want my direct response to what's happening approach, I'm good with it. But make sure you find somebody who you love, who you know, love, and trust enough to that they would just tell you flat out, honestly, dude, you're being a dumbass, and you don't get mad at them. Because that's the kind of relationship that you need. Not somebody who just tells you what you want to hear. That's not going to help you at all. So that's what I got. That's my idea of an unlicensed counselor. Hopefully, I get something out of this. Because I don't know. A lot of times when I create anything and when I'm doing it, I have no idea. Like, that is my approach now. What does that mean? I have no idea. And I love that I don't know. Because then that means God is right there going, let me reveal what you want to be doing right now. Let me help you with that. And that is a great place to be. So, have a great day. I feel awesome. And God bless.